These 60-mile-an-hour winds and dry conditions are a recipe for fire danger. You can hear the chants, hundreds of people out here. And one other car that was on scene was just toted away. I requested the inspection reports for all of the food trucks that have been checked so far in Hall County. It's not illegal to shoot these birds this time of year, but of course dumping them is a very different story. When these bees go on the cage, that's because they're feeding the queen bee. That includes rolling down your window or turning on the AC, all the way to Omaha before this letter can even start making its way back to Grand Island. You know, the weather can always change in Nebraska, and that's why the winter pruning process can take 3 to 4 months to cover 5 to 7 acres. And those funds go to help animals like Jake here. 18 inches of snow is not going to keep anybody from going to the hospital if you really need to. The Public Works Department says this is the problem: uneven pavement. You can see plenty of cracks on the surface. I'm going to zoom in. You'll be able to see some sheriff's officials and fire crews are checking out this van that was burned at the scene. You can see there are still some hot spots. By no longer providing health insurance for the 61 spouses who qualify for coverage through their own employer, the city is expected to save $720,000. I did both a rescue and I was rescued myself. You can't even feel how cold that water is. Beautiful out here, perfect for doing weather out here. We know texting while driving is dangerous, but tonight local high schoolers got a wake-up call when they were actually encouraged to text during an experiment behind the wheel of a golf cart. Many of the sounds and smells of early summer can be served hot, deep fried, or in a taco shell.
We make burritos, quesadillas, tacos, tortas.
But before digging in, how can you be sure these rolling restaurants are safe to eat at?
It took us a while to get it fixed up because this little trailer it's not any kind of food truck trailer. It was like if you were to take out to go camp. So we just transformed it into a little taco truck, and we had to buy new equipment for that.
The Central District Health Department is making sure local food codes are put into practice with the more than 20 food trucks in Hall County. When food trucks are inspected, they don't get a letter grade like any other restaurant. So how do you know the food you're ordering is coming from a clean kitchen? Well, any food truck that's open for business in Hall County has a certification paper that's taped to the inside of the truck.
So we have it up here on our wall, and then inspection just comes suddenly, so we don't know when they're going to come. So we try keeping everything clean for surprises.
Inspectors look for what they call critical violations in the cleaning, storage, or cooking processes that could lead to foodborne illnesses like salmonella or listeria poisoning, both found in raw and undercooked meats.
We'll go in and make sure that they have hot and cold running water, make sure they have all the appropriate equipment, they're clean, they're cooking their foods appropriately.
Yeah, beef. Yeah.
Some of the checklist items include proper hand washing, making sure foods are kept at safe temperatures, and that no cross-contamination happens between raw and cooked products.
We just needed to clean and let them know what kind of food we were selling, and they came and they gave us 100%.
Jackie Kent, NBC Nebraska News. They answer when you call for help. Now the Grand Island Fire Department says its new quintuple operations pumper, or Quint, will help bring better protection for the city.
This is huge, especially along the 281 corridor. We now have a ladder truck on each end of town.
The $750,000 Quint, paid for by taxpayers, now gives the city a second ladder for major fires.
You're going to be able to attack it from two sides now, from up in the air if need be. With the ladder truck down at Station 1, down on Farnham Park Road, and with this one, we can combine forces, and that should help us immensely.
The Quint can pump water, has its own tank, ground ladders, a 75-foot aerial ladder, and a full hose. And it's expected to offer relief for your wallet.
By having this, adding a second ladder truck to Grand Island, it's going to lower insurance rates because of the ISO rating that the insurance companies use to gauge the city of Grand Island. For every 1% that your community increases, it should drop your insurance rates by 10%.
And while the city faces a budget crisis, including potential layoffs, this crew says there will be enough staffing to operate the new Quint.
3 guys can handle this company just as good as we can with the other one. It's just going to take a lot of training to get used to it. I'm not sure when they're going to hire them, get them ready, but we are short like 2 or 3 people yet. That's a little more challenging, but we just deal with it. That's what we do. We deal with adversity all the time.
This was a big order. You can see the tire goes right about to my waist, and this Quint truck was a special order, actually made right here in Nebraska. The Quint replaces another engine in service since 1999.
We have 2 rigs that are going to be able to be used as a backup rig.
Crews still need to be trained on the Quint before it can be put into service. Several loud late-night explosions heard as far as 3 miles from this scene.
We just heard the big booms, and not knowing what it was, we grabbed all of our kids and ran outside.
We've had some miscellaneous reports that we're trying to straighten out. We did transport 2 people to St. Francis at this time.
Extra fire crews called in to fight the massive fire at a plumbing business into the early morning hours. One neighbor adds someone ran out of the building asking for help. That's when she called 911.
I was across the street in the alley at that time. The lady talked to me and was asking me for help, and she was screaming that Mike was inside.
Neighbors and passers-by were mostly concerned about the smoke and safety for their families.
It's got me shaken up. The looks on my kids' faces, I'll never get that out of my head.
I heard a couple loud booms. That's what had us pull over the car because we saw the smoke. We got out, a bunch of flames. I just saw the second building catch on fire. Smoke was coming out of it. I mean, it smells really bad. You can hardly see anything.
These fire crews working on the building since about 10:40 Sunday night. Shift Commander Ed Carlin says crews got here to see flames 40 feet in the air. And there's an added reminder for drivers into Monday.
Just need to avoid the area. There's a possibility the Eddy Street underpass could be closed down yet in the morning. So it depends how safe the building is and the risk of collapse or anything. So they may want to travel to work in a different direction.
Reporting in Grand Island, Jackie Kent. 18 inches of snow is not going to keep anybody from going to the hospital if you really need to. That's why I looked into the extreme measures that hospital employees and volunteers went through to make sure the hospital was adequately staffed. Even in severe weather, emergency staff still have to make it into work. That's why more than 55 nurses, doctors, and other hospital staff have slept at CHI Health St. Francis in Grand Island for days.
Pretty much all the roads and highways and streets were closed, and I live 30 miles away, so I've been here since Monday night.
It was very important for the staff to be safe.
The city urged everyone to stay off the roads on Tuesday. Where did you sleep?
In a hospital bed.
But about 30 drivers, including Jeremy Smith, braved the 50-mile-per-hour winds and more than 18 inches of snow to drive other staff members to the hospital and area nursing homes.
We do put our lives in danger, but we've had enough training to know what our limits are.
He's part of a group of volunteers called REACT, a local service provided year-round for people needing rides in and out of severe weather.
Nurses, doctors, 911 staff, street staff, police department, fire department, anybody that needs a ride that's considered emergency and or essential staff. I bet we took at least 100, 150.
So those already at the hospital and those coming to work for the next shift can continue to give patients constant care.
There was a couple who maybe could have gone home, but we've kept them so they were safe, you know, and didn't want to have to make them go out into the elements.
We had a couple surgicals that were canceled because of the storm. A couple of doctors didn't make it in.
By the time they left on Wednesday, Rachel Gustafson says some just wrapped up working 20-hour shifts. Glenn Offerman plans to take his sister Mandy to her next chemotherapy appointment in Sacramento at the end of June.
I want to help her out. I want to go there and spend some time with her. My main goal was to raise some money so that I have something to give her so she can, have some fun.
But he lives nearly 2,000 miles away in Iowa. And with no money for a plane ticket, he's now 1 week into his cross-country trek on 2 wheels, counting on donations along the way.
Churches are I think, the most help. They're more helpful. Homeless shelters, I've hit a few of them up when I pull into a town and it's late and I don't have time to pitch my tent, or it's been very cold at night.
But some days are cut short because of wet, windy, or cold weather.
I've actually broken down and cried a few times because it just felt like, the harder I tried, the more the wind pushed me.
Even with few supplies and limited sleep, the love for his sister is taking him miles.
The one thing she said to me that rings in my head every time I want to give up is, think about what I've been through and look to that for strength. And those words have just been etched in my brain, and every time I want to stop and lay down in the ditch and give up, I think of what she said.
Floral arrangements adorned with a big red N, photos, and hundreds of people line the hallway of Blessed Sacrament Church as those closest to former Husker punter 22-year-old Sam Fultz showed their respect for a life lost too soon.
Woke up that morning, I saw tweets and texts and everything, and we all came together and prayed and just knew we lost such a great person.
His teammate Jordan Nelson says he's not surprised by the overwhelming support in Grand Island, and it just goes to show the impact Fultz had on everyone he met on and off the field.
We found out we're going to walk on at Nebraska together, and he came up to me, I remember, and he's like, "Hey bud, how's it going?" Like we knew each other for a long time.
Even though he was so young, he was so ready to meet his creator. He was a man of faith. I went to Bible study with Sam, and he was just a phenomenal guy with a really contagious smile.
Leading into his senior year with the Huskers, Fultz had spent some time working alongside the director of Husker Vision.
I said, "Sam, this year I want you to take the ball down and fake a punt and run it into the end zone for 6. And Sam goes, "Yes." And the offensive lineman goes, "Yes, that'd be great." So that's the last time I talked to Sam, and it'll be a lasting memory for me.
This guy's a veteran.
He's not your typical paper boy.
This fellow's a veteran.
At 77 years old, Dean Walker is a Vietnam War veteran.
I got drafted and I stayed in.
He served his tour duty, plus another 9 years in the Army as an engineer.
My first tour, I went to France for 29 months. Came back, ended up at Fort Carson, then got orders for Korea. So I went back across the ocean and spent some time in Germany, and then I got out. So
now he's delivering more than the newspaper.
I don't know, I just started it when I first got the route. And I thought to myself, heck, you lived underneath that flag for 9.5 years. Respect it.
Neighbors can see him always wearing his Army hat as he makes a point to salute every American flag on his route. He says everyone should do the same to honor our country.
We live in this country, and that flag is ours. So you got to respect it, so why not go ahead and give it a salute when you get a chance to.
In Walker's 4 years of work on his paper route, he has only missed one day when he had shoulder surgery.
About my first year it was in, I had cataract surgery on my right eye. 2 years ago I had cataract surgery on my left eye, but I've never missed. It was always done in the morning, so I catch the early bus back, and I get back here and deliver the papers.
Jackie Kent, NBC Nebraska News.